Hi, I'm Michael Wargo, team pilot with Precision Aerobatics, and today we're gonna focus on the torque roll. This is something that everybody who learns to hover just would like to learn to do because it's just a really good-looking maneuver. But it's one of those things, especially if you're close to yourself, it can be pretty scary. The belly-in orientation is really somehow a little freaky to everybody, and they kind of avoid this maneuver. But you don't have to. And I'm going to show you a really good trick to getting used to it. And then I'll just kind of show you how to initiate the torque roll. So here we go. All right. Well, obviously, the first thing we want to do is get this plane into a hover. So I've got it in a stable hover. And once I kind of pull the nose up that it's literally vertical, if I let go of the controls, it'll start to rotate. That is doing it all on its own. And that's really the key to torque rolling. The wind is this is a super light aircraft, so the wind's gonna blow it away from me a little bit, but I'm gonna try and start it right here in front of me, okay? All right, now I've got it stable and in front of me. As soon as I get it locked straight up and down, I just let go of the right control, just like that hovering trick. And look, it's starting to roll on its own. Now this is obviously experience, and I've kept it very straight. I made slight adjustments to keep it near perfect, okay? And that is literally experience, okay? I'm making very small adjustments, keeping it in line. Can you see those little adjustments on the tail? I'm adjusting all along. Now, the problem is until you get there, until you know which is left and right, when the belly turns towards you, you've got to practice somehow. Okay, now my suggestion is that as it's rolling, you start just wagging the tail back and forth. Just keep wagging it. Keep wagging it. And as it's rotating, I'm going to help it a little bit because the wind is keeping it from rolling. Look, I can't get it to roll. There we go. Okay, hold on. All right. Now, the plane is up. And as it's rotating, I am going to continually waggle the tail. And that way, you see as I'm just waggling the tail, and you can see in some of my videos when the plane isn't exactly cooperating, that's what I'm doing. So go ahead, as it's rotating, just keep moving the rudder. See it? And that's keeping it straight. And sometimes it actually helps the torque roll, helps it roll a little faster. See, I'm just rotating. And once you see the result of what you're doing, you can go the opposite way. When you're inverted in not inverted, but the belly is in, and that's the confusing part, okay? Well, all you really need to do is keep wagging back and forth. And when the belly is in, you can see the result. There we go, belly's in. Whoops, it went around it pretty quick. But you see, I'm constantly moving the rudder. So in other words, if you start moving the rudder really fast and start just moving it back and forth, you're not really going to get in any trouble, and you can always go the other way, which is the whole point of all of this. Sorry, the wind is keeping it from, now it's, see, the wind is just weather vaning it. Okay, now it's rolling. And I made the wrong move by going back and forth a little too far in one direction, and I just fly out. The big tip here is to just start moving the rudder back and forth as it's turning. Just keep moving it, keep moving it. And it's very easy to keep it stable when you have a direct frame of reference for what you just did. See? I'm just moving it around. Belly's to me now, no problem. Just keep going back and forth and watch what's happening. I'm going to do this with a different plane now so you can kind of see the difference. This one here, you can just roll so slow, and I thought it would be a little easier to see the results of all of it. But if you watch this, even right in front of me, just watch it turn. Keep an eye. And you see that rudder going back and forth? That's the trick. Now, it is possible, and I just do not want to see you guys try this right away, because it gives you a false sense of doing a torque roll. I mean, a lot of people just get up and they just, jam the ailerons over. I don't know why this isn't going any faster. It should be with full ailerons. There we go. But the fact is, especially with an addiction or something like that, if I jam the ailerons real quick, it starts to roll, but it's not the same as flying it through the roll. The slow roll is much more elegant. Okay, this time I'm going to fly the addiction. And I mean, this plane, hovers and torque rolls very well, and I'm using it for an example. The plane you have may not hover very well, but there's a couple of keys. The first of which is don't start a torque roll until it's level. And another tip is, if you're at a little bit of an angle, it doesn't want to work. It really has to be level. It'll almost feel like it's coming backwards a little bit. But it's just your perspective. It's hanging straight, but it'll feel like it's back. So once you get, you can't really start a torque roll until you can let go of the control for a second, just like in my hover tip. So unless you can let go of the control, you just got to be patient. So let's try it with you. Get yourself into a hover. Now it's hovering. Now you see that natural torque going in. See me just putting the rudder back and forth. Checking my references. Bring it up into a hover. And as we were discussing, watch it till it gets vertical. Now it's truly vertical. And just let it roll. I'm trying not to touch it. The belly is shooting, back up. Watch it. Push the elevator. Touch the rudder. Just play with it a little bit. So we're going to bring it up into a hover. Stop it. And again, it's just going to kind of bump. See me bumping? Just a little bump. Moving back and forth just to find center. But for the most part, I'm trying really hard not to move very much. So my opinion is, if you want to start trying to get used to the belly-in orientation, I have a trick for that as well. What to do is start it, and as soon as it gets belly in, fly up and out, so you can't get in any trouble. Ready, belly in, drop, fly out. See, it wasn't in a good position, it was a little wonky, I just flew out. So I'm going to come around again. There's another technique that I've used with one other person, and it seems to really make a difference for him, and I'm going to show you what it is. What I had him do was let it roll to 1/4 turn and then fly away. So in the hover, 1/4 turn, make a move and fly away. Now obviously it kept rolling, so it's pretty hard to stop at 1/4. But just roll it to 1/4 or 1/2. Hit it there, hover, okay? You start up here, let it roll, and now just fly away. And see, it actually completed the roll. Because when I add throttle, you get even more torque. So it wants to go up even more. So another really good technique is to get it up there, stand it up, let it start, and just add throttle, and just fly away. I really think with this particular technique, it gets a little easier to wrap your head around it. I actually like the idea of just letting it go and keep rocking the tail back and forth, just like I said at the beginning of the video. To me that works, and just stay with it. See, it's flying a little forward, but it's not hurting anything. Anyway, the moral of the story for this particular video is don't panic. Keep the tail moving a little bit. And I think if you keep the tail moving, the aircraft will be obvious where it is. If you don't keep the tail moving, you don't have to worry about that first move being wrong, because you're constantly moving. I use that tip in landing, just to start kind of kicking the rudder around, just to make sure you're not going to make a mistake with the rudder on the way down. It's the same thing with this. Just start moving it a little bit.